We're up and running. Good to go? Yeah. So, hey, what's going on, guys? It's Quabi with the Peace Bus. And if you've been joining us on this journey, we have left Tacoma with the Peace Bus, and we've driven it all the way to Petaluma, California, to do a podcast and interview with Michael Nagler, who is here sitting across from me. An amazing educator on the subject of nonviolence. And if you've been watching the Peace Bus, you know what we're all about. You know that this fits right in line with what we're all about in the message of peace. So, Michael, my question to you is, how you doing?
Well, I'm having a rushed, hectic day, but I'm really glad to see you guys.
Thank you. So what's been going on today?
Well, I was invited to go to India, and that's coming up in about 10 days. UNESCO is having a youth conference on the science and the art of peace. And so they're getting me over to that. And so I've been dealing with visa issues and, trying to get over a bug. And as if this were not enough, Quabi, I have to hand in the manuscript of my book Monday night.
Jeez, a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff. Yeah, I got help.
Gotcha. Have you been to India before?
Yes.
Okay, when was that?
In 2007, I was there to get an award.
Okay.
Actually, they call the Jamnalal Bajaj Award for promoting Gandhian values outside of India. And then
That's awesome.
in, I guess it was in 2013, I went to visit an outfit called the Gandhi Research Foundation.
Okay.
With a bunch of friends from Meta, and we spent a beautiful week there. And then I went down to some ashrams in India where I like to hang out.
That's cool. I'd like to hang out in India too. Well, for you guys who don't know Michael at home, he has been a professor at Berkeley in specificity of nonviolence. If you could talk, Michael, a little bit about the work you did at Berkeley or as being a professor.
Yeah. Well, I was originally hired to teach literature, and I did for quite a few years, but I began to feel that though literature had its own importance and was very beautiful and uplifting in a way, the way the world was going, we needed a stronger medicine. So I offered with a colleague of mine a course in nonviolence, and 100 students came, which for a first opening is impressive.
That's immense, yeah.
Yeah. And then discovered that there was no place to put it in campus. No department could handle it. So I had the choice of either giving up or create something. So I knew that there was a bunch of peace studies programs starting around the country. I think there's probably close to 300 of them today. So we started a program called Peace and Conflict Studies, and I taught in that for about 10 years. And
so you were the first to create that at Berkeley?
I was the creator of it at Berkeley.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I taught courses in nonviolence, in the meaning of life, and meditation.
Wow. So let's get into nonviolence. Let's get into that.
Sure.
So you have talked, and I've seen this in previous videos. You have tons of videos on YouTube, which are awesome. I've been checking them out. They're amazing.
Good.
And you've talked about having a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
From being a thing-oriented society to a people-oriented society. Can you expound on that a little bit?
Sure. That's Martin Luther King who said that.
Okay.
And often in nonviolence, we use the term dehumanization because it turns out to be just about impossible psychologically for a human being to kill or injure another human being. So they have to make this switch in their mind with that's not really a human being.
Okay.
So you give them a name or hang a label on them, you're terrorist, you're this, you're that. And unfortunately, the way our society works, there's a lot of what you might call this pre-dehumanization happening before anybody talks about violence. Meaning that we are always being diminished as people. I mean, even by something like advertising, we're being told that we're basically selfish. We want to get more of X, Y, or Z than somebody else, and that constitutes success, that we can be satisfied by acquiring stuff.
I see.
I mean, once in my life, Bobby, once,
Okay.
I saw an ad saying, I like to help people. But unfortunately, that ad was in Germany.
Really?
So, yeah. So have advertising creates a kind of diminished image of who the human being is.
I see.
So then it's relatively easy for someone who wants to use violence for some reason of their own, which they may consider legitimate. It's kind of easy for them to do that because the ground has been prepared. So that's why we talk about a paradigm shift.
Okay.
That we've got to really tilt the way that the whole culture operates, our whole model. It's sometimes we call, this is what my new book is about.
Okay.
It's called The New Story.
The new story. I like that. I like that. Okay.
In the old story, the world is a physical object and we're all separate from one another, and we're helpless basically because genes push us around and hormones push us around. And, I remember seeing a television presidential debate one time, and I'm sitting there at the end of the debate thinking, okay, how was that, who won? And then the announcer comes on and says, we'll have the results for you in a minute. In other words, I'm not supposed to make up my own mind.
Interesting.
They're going to tell me who won and who lost. So this conditioning is going on all the time.
I see. In helping the paradigm shift, what can everyday people do to practice nonviolence to have that to help that change?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you asked, because actually we have come up with 5 steps.
Okay.
One of them is actually 2 steps in one. So first thing, and this, by the way, on our website, there's a tag called Roadmap.
Okay.
And in Roadmap, we present the idea that we've got to empower ourselves, then get into constructive action, and then do the fighting.
What's the new name of the website?
The website is metacenter.org.
Gotcha. And that's actually where we're at right now.
That's
the Meta
where
Center,
you are
Petaluma.
visiting the Meta Center in Petaluma, California. And so if your audience will just remember that Meta has 2 T's,
Gotcha.
we will be on our way.
Yeah.
So in that middle circle where we're going to personal empowerment, we recommend 5 things. First, people should really, really be careful what they watch, what they listen to, video games they play, and don't expose yourself to violent imagery. It's devastatingly harmful.
Yes.
And so a lot of times people come and say, well, if I don't watch violence on TV, there'll be nothing left to watch. I say, no problem. I haven't owned a television set since I was an adult. Yeah. And that goes back a while. So
how do you think, okay, so many people, they love video games, they love watching violent movies, and they'll say to me, well, I've been watching it all my life and I don't go out and shoot anything up, or, I feel that I don't cause fights. What does that do? I mean, watching that through the media, how does that affect us?
It alienates us from other people, and that is doing a lot of harm. So there's an unconscious psychological damage that's going on. And people point to the fact that, well, I never picked up a gun and shot anybody, so they think it's okay. But you see, that's what we mean by a paradigm shift. In our paradigm, we don't have a mind. We're just these bodies walking around. So it doesn't matter what we put in them.
I see.
In the new paradigm, we are body, mind, and spirit in increasing importance. So it's extremely important what we put in our mind. It conditions how we view the world, how we relate to other people. And so this is up to each one of us individually to take charge of what goes on in our mind.
Gotcha.
That's step number 1.
So would you say, as far as helping the paradigm shift and adding to this new movement, this new wave of humanity, that one has to be cognizant of their spirituality?
Oh, yeah, that's step number 3.
Oh, I'm going ahead of you. Okay, I'll let you finish.
Step number 2 is, okay, so you've cleared a lot of time out in your life because you're not watching all this stuff anymore. Number 2 is just learn everything you can about nonviolence. That's what the Meta Center is for. And there are a lot of other resources that are for that, too. It's very inspiring. It's extremely interesting. It's a whole science in itself. And it recalibrates your image of who you are, what you're capable of, and so forth. So then we address the fact that even if you do these 2 wonderful things, we've been conditioned for so long that we've got to get into deeper layers of our mind and what it tells us to do and what goes on down there. So for that, we do strongly recommend a spiritual practice. And that's why I taught nonviolence at the university for so long. And that's, I still teach it today at workshops that.
Okay, I'm going to have to join one of those workshops. Cool.
Okay, man, we'll set you up. So then the 4th thing is get out and be more personable with people. With this background that you've got, you're no longer taken in these junk images. You've understood something about nonviolence. You're meditating, maybe. You're going to be a pretty nice person. So get out there and interact personally with people instead of, your cell phone or the email or something. Wherever you have a chance, just go to somebody and be there as a person for them. And then finally, gosh, when you're doing all of this, you are going to be a very effective activist. So at this point, you do kind of an internal assessment and ask yourself, what am I good at?
Okay.
Like, because of my life situation, I'm not in a good position to go get myself arrested or things like that, but I can get involved in educational work. So then my next question is, does the world need it? And oh my gosh. So I feel very good about what I'm doing. So I have found out what are my capacities and how do they match what the world needs.
Okay.
Then I swing into action. So here's where step number 5 gets a little bit complicated. Recently we've added, whatever you're doing, talk about the new story. Tell people. They're going to ask you, why do you care about the whales? And instead of saying, what's the matter with you? Why don't you care about them? Which you'd be tempted to do. You say, look, life is a whole. It's one network, is one seamless garment of destiny, as Martin Luther King said. So if you hurt other creatures or even wish them harm, which is literally what the word himsa means, where we get the word violence from, if you just so much as wish harm to another creature, you're hurting something in yourself. And that's why I do it. So the idea is if we keep on not just doing things, but explaining why we're doing things, and we explain them in the framework of a consistent, attractive story, that will help the paradigm to shift.
Wow. You dropped some big knowledge on us.
Well, you're tapping into decades of thinking over this stuff.
Gotcha. Michael, if you could say one thing to youth that don't know anything about nonviolence, what would you suggest for them to do?
Whoa. Actually, that question is a little harder than you may think because there's many different ways into it. Okay. Personally, I find Gandhi incredibly inspiring, and he only wrote 3 books in his life, but then there's 100 volumes of his letters. I have to say, I think our website, metacenter.org, might be a good introduction.
Gotcha.
I've got this little, for people who are active oriented, who want to go do something. We have this little booklet, the Nonviolence Handbook.
Yes, I was looking at that actually. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I just delivered 6 more copies of that to the local delicatessen in Tamales. They sell more copies than Barnes and Noble.
Do you have any here that I could buy today?
Yeah, we have quite a few.
Okay, cool. All right.
We'll take care of you.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you so much, Michael, for meeting with me and talking with me and dropping some knowledge on us. The Peace Bus and the whole crew is very, very thankful for you to come out and to be here in the space and talk about peace and nonviolence.
Well, literally in the space. And I've enjoyed it a lot, Quabi, and I enjoyed meeting the whole crew.
Awesome. Well, you guys back at home, thank you for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. And we love to see you, new viewers, to listen to the podcast. And we're going to be headed from here, Petaluma, to San Francisco today. So we're going to have some more interviews, street interviews, talking to everyday people about what peace means to them, try to create some more understanding of the subject of peace. I'm your host, Quabi, and I'm signing off. I hope you guys have a great and fantastic day. Take it easy.